Okay, so very good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, good
Evening.
evening.
Uh, a very good evening to Mr. Thinesh, and yeah, please, before we would like to start, would you guys like to introduce yourself? Like, what are you all doing and what are we doing and things like that?
Yeah, sure. So, okay, I'm gonna start first. My name is Ahmad, and I'm a student from UNICAL. And right now we are doing an interview for our course subject, which is professional English. So that's all for me. And yeah.
Next. Okay.
I am Ahmad Lakim. I am from course Automation and Robotics. I also study at UNIKL. Okay, continue.
Okay, my name is Farushin Faizal bin Waziruddin. I'm also from the course Mechatronic, and I'm from UNICAL too.
My name is Muhammad Farhan bin Nazri. I studied Industrial Automation and Robotics in UNIKL.
Okay. Hi, my name is Parishan, and I'm a student from UNICAL. I'm doing electromechanical engineering course, and today I will be the MC for tonight's session, for this interview session. And please, Mr. Tinesh, before further ado, would you like to introduce about yourself and tell a bit about yourself? About what is your background? Can you share with us about those information?
Hi everybody. Nice to meet you. Yeah, sure, not a problem. My name is Thinesh Waran and Laki Tamuturan. A bit about myself. I am 26 years old this year, and my background is I did a bachelor's of business, majoring in sports management um, in Australia. But after I came back to Malaysia, then now I'm in logistics lah. Yeah, it's what I'm interested in. So I've been doing logistics for the last 3 years lah.
Okay. So, Mr. Tinesh, can you tell us about your involvement in this logistic? About what is your position about, and what are the tasks you do on daily basis, and how things works?
Okay, so basically my role is operations supervisor. I work for a company called Liberty Shipping and Chartering, Sendirian Berhad. So the company I work for does heavy lift logistics. So heavy lift meaning we move
All right.
large cargos that are too big to be fit into a container. So we move cargos that are, for example, trains, windmills, objects like that. And what the company I work for does is we charter a vessel or hire a vessel for our client, and then we basically load their cargo for them onto the vessel, make sure it's secured and ready for travel, ready for sail, and then we let it go towards its desired destination lah.
Uh, Thank you, Mr. Tinesh.
So
And now I would like to pass the first person to ask you question. The interviewer for tonight's session, the first would be Mr. Muhammad Ahmad Afif Mansoor. He will be asking you about question on you. So, Mr.
Yeah.
Muhammad Afif bin
So okay. So my first question is how did you involve in this in your current career actually?
so back when I was studying in uni, I used to do a part-time logistics job, uh, but more into e-commerce logistics. So e-commerce logistics, for example, is like maybe DHL or JNT, FedEx, things that you buy online. So e-commerce lah. And then once I came back to Malaysia after studying, I realized logistics is something I'm interested in. So from then on, I just went into logistics.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thinesh. And my second question is this your first company that you work with in this field, or maybe you
Uh,
have already involved in another company before?
this is my third company. So I've worked. My first company was DHL Supply Chain. Second company was Bolore Logistics, and this is my third.
So and one more question for you, Mr. Dinesh, and which is what is your proudest achievement that you've been achieved in the company currently?
I think the proudest achievement I would say I've been involved in is probably moving two large cargoes for Petronas from Kuantan to Bintulu, Sarawak. And
Yeah.
the project from A to Z was handled by myself, and so I coordinated everything and made sure things went according to plan, and also worked together with Petronas managers to get the job done. So I think that's something a bit I'm quite proud of.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thinesh. That's
You're welcome.
that's the questions from me.
Afif bin Mansur, and now we would like to move on to the next questions, which would be asked by another interviewer, and that is none other than Mr. Muhammad Ahmad Lukman Nul Hakim bin Ahmad Farizal, and I would like to pass the baton to him. Thank you.
Okay. So, Mr. Thinesh Warren, you said you was taking Bachelor of Business Engineering and Sport Management in Australia. I
Yep.
want to ask about your experience as a student there. During your time as a university student, what is the most challenging moment that you have been through?
I think the most challenging thing, I mean, there's a few things that proved to be quite challenging. One is definitely being in a foreign country and trying to get on the same page with your lecturers or your classmates. I think one of the challenging obstacle was just, I mean, exams are always challenging for
Yeah.
anybody. But I think making sure that you have a group of people to study with, to work together with, to help you get through uni. I think that was one of the most challenging ones. So especially at the start, so once I found a good group of people I could stick with and get through uni together, that made it a lot easier.
Yeah. You overcome the hardships by having a group of people to support you. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. A
So
group of people who
so
also did the same program, so it was easy for us.
yeah. Okay. So next question I want to ask. Did you get involved in any extracurricular activities? If yes, activities that you have joined?
Uh, there's a few extracurricular activities I participated in. One of it was I joined this Malaysian student society in the uni. So all the students from Malaysia who wanted to find other Malaysians, they joined the society, and then I was vice president for this society for a while. So we organized a lot of social activities, get to know your fellow Malaysians who are also studying overseas. And then, I mean, that's one of the activities that was very good. The other one would be just sports lah, in general, like keeping yourself active. So I play a lot of golf and basketball. So playing golf and basketball for uni, and playing with just a lot of your other uni students in general, that kept me occupied and healthy lah.
Okay. So my last question about your experience as a student. Uh, During your study, does your CGPA affected your personal emotion? How do you cope with those emotions?
I think CGPA for me, to be very honest, for me is as long as I got through the semester and I passed, I was already happy lah. So I just had to make sure that I was doing the necessary stuff when it comes to assignments or projects. So as long as I did that, then I knew that uni shouldn't be too hard. So see, in terms of CGPA, it never really affected me. For me, is as long as I got through the semester, then I'm good enough. I'm happy with that.
Yes, okay, I agree. Okay, back to you, our MC, Pavishan. Mr. Pavishan.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmad, Muhammad Ahmad Lukman Nul Hakim bin Ahmad Sharizal, and it was a very good questions as a interview you to experience as a professional, which would likely to be asked by Muhammad Wan Faisal.
Okay, Mr. Thinesh,
Thank you.
we know that your career is have a lot of pressure, and how you handle your work.
I think pressure at work. I think everyone faces different kinds of pressure at work. But I handled it by talking to maybe friends, uh, family, um, and even your fellow colleagues or even your boss. So I think whenever you feel that there is some pressure that you're under, you should just talk to them and discuss with them what can be done to lessen that pressure lah.
My second question is, where do you seek inspiration in your career as a professional?
Um, Inspiration in my career as a professional. Uh, my dad. My dad has been in the railway industry for a very long time. So, and I found my passion in logistics with the current job I'm in. So, I seek to also remain in logistics for a very long time. So, I think that's where my inspiration comes from.
Okay, my last question is, what the most challenging task that you face at your job?
I think a very challenging task that I faced was having the need to travel to Sarawak for a project, but without my colleagues because they were either they were busy with other projects. So, and for me to go there, to do it on my own, to talk to our vendors, our clients, to handle everything was quite a bit of a challenge, lah. But it's a good challenge, lah. I mean, if once you go through a challenge like that, then I think you shouldn't have any issue with most challenges that may come in the future.
Okay, thank you to Mr. Thinesh, and back to the Mr. MC provision.
Thank you, Mr. Wan. And now I would like to go on the next question, and it is will be asked none other than Mr. Muhammad Farhan Nazri. Are you there?
Yes, Provision. So thank
Okay,
you
thank
to
you,
our
Mr.
MC,
Farhan Nazri.
Mr. Provision. Hello, Mr. Thinesh. So in this section,
Hello.
we will talk about. I will ask you about the reflection. So my first question is, what are your work ethics that makes who you are today?
I think simple ethics, or I think people should have mindset wise is to um, be diligent with your work, hardworking, be proactive with whatever job you're given. Make sure you study Like for example, if you are given a project to handle, then go through the project, what needs to be done, and the smallest of things. For example, a notepad to write things down. That helps me a lot. So as long as I'm constantly writing what I need to do, uh, that helps me with my um, field of work lah, with what I do.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mrs. Thinesh. So my next question is that, in your opinion, what kind of ethics do young people need to excel as future leaders?
I think uh, one of the things that I've also learned on my own is during my first job is sometimes when you decide you want to go look for a job and you think it's going to be simple 9 to 5. I mean, best case scenario, most people will want a simple 9 to 5 job. They don't want to work on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. But I think not all job out there provides that. So if there are jobs that say, look, we might need you to come in on every alternate Saturdays or even on a Sunday sometime, depending on the nature of work, I think you should just do it. You know, it might be hard initially, but you got to think of it as your long-term investment for your career. You know, you work, as the saying goes, like, you know, you work hard, and then you get all good things only come if you work hard. So I think the youth these days should always remember that working hard really is very important, whatever it is. So you got to show your colleagues, show your boss that you're working hard. You don't need to tell them. As long as you're working hard and doing the right thing, they will notice you. So
So finally, to conclude our interview, my last question is: what is your advice to future young leaders?
I think my advice to them would be to uh, take on whatever challenges that comes towards them. You might not find your desired job the first time, but whatever comes to you, I think you should take it. You should work. Whatever job comes, just take it. Work throughout the job. Learn what you can throughout the job. Because if you're just going to hope that you're going to get the perfect job with from the start, some people might be lucky, but not many people are. So whatever comes, just go through it. If there's struggles, just go through the struggles. Whatever challenges, go through the challenges. And that's the only way you learn. Like even for me or for anyone, like mistakes happen. So unless you don't go through them, then you won't know, and you won't know whether it's something that you know you'll repeat again or not. So I think that's one of the most important things the young generation should remember lah. You know, nothing comes easy. So whatever challenges or whatever work is thrown to you, maybe it will take like instead of 9 to 5, you might only be leaving the office at 9 o'clock. Doesn't matter. Just get it done. That's the best way to learn, if you ask me.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Thinesh. That's all from me. Back to Mr. Proficient.
Thank you, Mr. Farhan. And now there's a one last question from me before we proceed to the next phase. In your opinion, as a professional, we need to stay competitive. If yes, what is your competitive and enhance in this professional career, so that you would not be like alienated or being left out in that your progress
Uh,
is being there.
so you're asking if we need to be competitive. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, I think you should absolutely be competitive because whatever job you're doing, you're not the only one who can do it. You know, so many other people can easily come in, learn the trade, learn the job, and take over your position. that goes the same for companies like maybe logistic companies like DHL or JNT or Kununagal. These companies, they are not the only ones out there. There are so many companies, so competition is very high. So I think you must be competitive in order to stay up the chain lah, to remain on top, to stay up in that pyramid. If you imagine a pyramid, there's always going to be one guy who's on top, but if you don't be competitive, then you're never going to reach the top lah. So to try and be competitive, I think what you can do as a professional is to be very whatever job is given to you, do it 100%. Do it to your best capacity, and just go all out lah. Because if you slack, somebody else is going to be coming behind and taking over, that role or even that job as in another company. So if you don't keep your competitiveness or your drive high, then somebody else will work harder than you and just be and go further than you lah. Simple as that. So yeah, I think that's what I feel lah so far throughout my working experience.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thinesh, and we as a team wish you best of luck for your future endeavor in your business and as you strive with success. And before and we reach the conclusion part already. Now, before we end this meeting, can we take a screenshot of this meeting, like a photo, so that as to make this interview more memorable? I feel, guys.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure.
Mr. Farhan, would you like to take the screenshot?
Get ready in 1, 2, and 3. Okay.
One more time.
One more time. Okay.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Okay, that's all.
Thank you, Mr.
All right.
Thinesh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thinesh. It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
No problem.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Thinesh, and very good night to all the other members. Yes, and
Yep.
thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thanks.